and I'll try to play with all the guns to make sure what's changed and what hasn't. Maybe later in the season, I'll make like a tier list, but I'm not too sure just yet.
Have I really been putting this off for an entire year? In my defense, 2021's meta was ever-changing, and now that it's been stable for the past couple months, I think it's finally appropriate to do this tier list. Just keep in mind, I am a casual player, a global player, and I mostly play spawns. Feel free to share your opinions down below and correct me if I was wrong about anything. With that out of the way,
let's do this.
Starting off in D tier, I don't believe any gun has fallen farther from grace than the NA-45. But to call what many consider to be a no-skill weapon grace is controversial. Despite paranoia in pre-release, it didn't quite rise to prominence until a couple seasons after, when everyone realized how effective quickscoping was. Aside from trolling people in Search and Destroy, there is no longer a reason to ever use this weapon since its nerf. The devs must have hated this gun more than their player base ever did, because recently, it's been nerfed again. Instead of aiming at where your opponent's feet might be, why not just aim at them with a proper semi-auto? If this was a tier list for Battle Royale, the EBR would be at top tier. But to say that it's never been a popular option in multiplayer is an understatement. Although far from meta, it was nerfed alongside the NA and other snipers a year ago. In terms of semi-autos, there are just better options. In fact, if you wanted the 2-tap, why not use a pistol? Much of what was said about the M21 EBR also applies to the XPR50, minus BR performance. Stopping power does allow for a potential one-shot, but I wouldn't recommend it, because of the lack of hand multipliers, and if you're going to be 2-tapping most of the time, you might as well maintain that faster fire rate. The HS2126 is a 4-round burst shotgun, and although it does a decent enough job hip-firing up close, it's a severely limiting playstyle. Aiming down sights is not viable. The recoil is just too much, even with attachments. Not to mention, it's the only shotgun without slug rounds, thus making it impossible to grind long shots without having to play hardcore mode. Entering into C tier, we have the Striker. For the longest time, the Striker was just not good. With a buff couple seasons ago, it's now mediocre at best. Can it one-shot up close? Yes. But it's more likely that you're going to be spraying 2 to 4 shots. The biggest issue with the Striker is that you'll be spending more time reloading, 1 shot at a time, than actually engaging in combat. The UL-736 has good time to kill over range, but it lacks the other qualities to take advantage of it. Its bloom is bad. Its recoil is shaped like Somalia. Its ammo, it doesn't have much. Chicom, however you want to pronounce it, has never been a top gun. Bloom is not an issue because it's a burst weapon. Can you one burst up close? Theoretically, not likely. Can you 2 burst across the map? Theoretically, not likely. I used to think that this gun was the worst in the game, but after finding a gunsmith that I finally liked, I've come to notice that it's usable. It's pretty good at point blank when hip firing, but there are other guns that can do that and more. So it's not irredeemable, but it's still the worst SMG. Arguably. Early on, the PDW was a good gun because of its big magazine and fast time to kill up close. Fast forward to more guns being introduced and the release of Gunsmith, it no longer stands out. By today's standards, It's time to kill? He's not that fast. It has poor bullet spread, range boosting barely does anything, and despite not needing a bigger magazine, it's still severely limited in terms of attachment options. The M4. What can I say? It's the tutorial gun, low recoil, average accuracy, easy iron sights, a variety of attachments, but low damage. If it could 4-shot more consistently, it would be solid. The GKS, at one point, was the best SMG, and arguably remained so for a very long time. In a time when no one understood bullet spread, it was one of the most accurate guns in the game. So, what happened? It was ironically butchered during the shift towards the SMG meta. It's not that accurate anymore. It's not the same anymore. For a very long time, the HG40 was a forgotten weapon. But with the release of Gunsmith, it truly shined. For one season, and then it was nerfed. The main thing that's holding back the HG40 right now is its arm multipliers. It makes it impossible to 4-shot beyond 10 meters, and despite being an SMG, right now, it's like an AR, but with a shotgun range. And that'll have to do for bottom tiers and for this video. Next time we'll be delving into the mid tiers. My name is On, and I'm off.